So your chickens stop laying and you're not sure why. Well, today I'm going to tell you why your chickens stop laying and what you can possibly do to help them start laying again. This is Ready, Set, Homestead, where the only fluff is the feathers. Let's go and get right into it. You're like everybody that I've seen on the Facebook groups right now, your chickens aren't laying and you might be wondering why. Right now in southern Louisiana, our daytime temperatures are in the high 80s, mid 90s. And when you add that humidity to it, getting your feel-like temperatures up in the hundreds. If you see your chickens doing something like that with their mouth open, see all those guys over there? That's how a chicken cools itself off. It pants. See, chickens don't have the ability to sweat like humans do. Similar to dogs, in order to cool themselves off, they will pant. Another thing that they do is what that tan one back there is doing. You see how its wings are slightly puffed out? So what it's doing is it's puffing out its wings in order to get air underneath the wings where all the blood vessels are. Same thing with this one right here. They puff out their wings in order to help that air cool themselves off. Again, they don't sweat. Now, whenever your temperatures get above 80 degrees, a chicken's body is gonna go into essentially a fight or flight mode when it comes to survival. I talk about this all the time in my videos and all the time on our Facebook group. Cold kills chicks, heat will kill chickens. And what these chickens do to help themselves survive is stop laying eggs. Now, the reason this happens is as these chickens pant, their body is expending more CO2. Just like when you breathe. We breathe in oxygen, we breathe out CO2. How this affects your egg production, as these chickens create more CO2, the pH in their blood rises. So as these chickens pant, they're expelling more CO2. The CO2 changes the pH balance in their blood. It affects the calcium that's actually in their body. They're unable to absorb and utilize the calcium that their body is processing. Calcium is crucial. Calcium carbonate is what eggshells are made out of. So the decreased absorption of calcium can result in poor egg formation, weaker eggshells, and even just a lack of eggs in general. Now, in addition to that, protein is something that chickens will use in order to use energy. Well, when chickens are hot, they like to typically be a little bit less active. You'll notice these chickens, they're not out here. They didn't come outside until I came out here. They're trying to find the coolest areas. When chickens aren't active, they're not eating. Now add all of that together. They're using more protein to cool themselves off. They're not absorbing and utilizing as much calcium. And because they're less active, they're eating less. All of these things in combination result in a lower egg production. So how do you fix it? Well, there's definitely a few things that you can do to potentially help increase that egg production if it's important to you. Of course, make sure that your coop has plenty of ventilation as well as shady areas for them to hang out in. Always have a fresh, cool water source. If possible, place their feed in the cooler areas of your coop or run and feed them during the cooler times of day when they're more likely to eat, like first thing in the morning or last thing in the afternoon before they go to roost. You can add things like a dust bath or even a cooling pond using a kiddie pool like this. Dust bathing is a way that chickens will cool themselves off, but you can also put water in there in order to help cool off their feet because chickens will expel heat through any possible source that they can, which is primarily their feet, their combs, and their wattles. Which is why when you see a floppy comb like that, or that, you know it's hot. Now, adding the cool water, having a cool area, having a cooling pond are all things that are going to help your chickens become more active so they can possibly start eating more feed. You can also add calcium supplements. You can buy a supplement at the store. You can add eggshells. You can add oyster shells, things like that. But you need to be really careful if you're going to be supplementing that feed. You can't just add calcium to their feed. If you just add calcium to the feed, it could potentially harm your chickens. You see, calcium is processed by the liver. And when a chicken absorbs calcium, that liver has to go into overtime in order to process what it's taking in. So if you're adding too much calcium and you're not doing everything else that I just mentioned, that calcium can actually become toxic. It can damage their liver, it can damage their heart, and it can seriously hurt your bird if not kill it altogether. So to sum it all up, why aren't your chickens laying eggs? It's because it's hot. They're not as active, so they're not eating as much food, and the food that they do eat, they're not absorbing as much calcium. Now, my recommendation personally, make sure they have cool water, make sure they have plenty of shade, give them the feed they need, and let nature do its thing. It's okay if they're not laying all year round. So if you want your chickens to be happy and healthy, just treat them right, let them do their thing, and don't force them to produce eggs that their bodies aren't wanting to make. This is Ready, Set, Homestead. Enjoy homesteading.